Today, we dig into privacy concerns and the implications for the future of customer relationship management. I'm Nance Rosen, here to raise ethics questions about the current and very dynamic ways data is being aggregated, sold, and used. Selling an audience of one. These issues are red hot right now because computing power and capacity have ignited the marketer's imagination. Thus, we can compile so much data on a single individual and draw so many conclusions about the individual that we are now selling an audience of one. Not just marketing one-to-one, but buying and selling individual consumers. Specifically, advances in information technology have enlarged what we know about each consumer, and we can assign value and meaning to that individual. Largely without the consumer's knowledge or approval, or even a check on the data's accuracy, we are buying and selling consumers by their third-party, manufactured profiles. Academic, industry, and public policy inquiries are in play. Why? Because the economics and the very structure of society may be changed by unregulated data aggregators and the companies that purchase from them. Yes, the issues are that big and that far-reaching. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission recommends 1. Privacy by design. Companies should build in consumers' privacy protections at every stage in developing their products. This includes reasonable security for consumer data, limited collection and retention of such data, and reasonable procedures to promote data accuracy. 2. Simplified choice for businesses and consumers. Companies should give consumers the option to decide what information is shared about them and with whom. This should include a do not track mechanism that would provide a simple, easy way for consumers to control the tracking of their online activities. 3. Greater transparency. Companies should disclose details about their collection and use of consumers' information and provide customers access to the data collected about them. What does the U.S. government want consumers to understand?
Every day, you take advantage of all kinds of services: mobile, social media, free internet search, and more. When you use these services, you're sharing information about yourself with friends, with businesses, while you're out and about, while you're at home. That information is shared and sold within businesses, with their affiliates, with ad networks. So on a typical day, you might shop at a store and use a loyalty card to take advantage of a sale. And your shopping habits may be shared or sold. You might need to fill a prescription, and your prescription history may be shared or sold. You might use a daily coupon app to get a deal at a nearby restaurant, and your location information may be shared or sold. You might visit a news site where you notice an ad for your favorite brand of shoes. It's an online sale, this weekend only, so you buy a pair. And the articles you read and your shoe preferences may be shared or sold. You might log into a social network and see that your friends are filling out an All About Me quiz. You get the quiz app and share your answers, and your quiz responses and profile information may be shared or sold. A regular day. You've taken care of business, used some free services, gotten some good deals, and revealed all kinds of information about yourself. So at the end of the day, the question is, who has your information, and where is it going next?
Some data bureaus collect behavioral records, including purchasing and browsing history, and give each consumer a score, a measure of how valuable each consumer is. These scores aren't made according to reliable standards of measurement or even an industry's agreed-upon standard. These consumer value scores are spit out by any bureau's proprietary algorithm. You may be surprised to know that your consumer value score is a lot like your FICO or credit score. That is, these types of scores are manufactured by commercial companies and come with no guarantee that they're accurate. Mistakes or even the actual facts can really change your life. For example, credit scores have become a commonly used criteria. Want to own a home or a new car? Your credit score pretty much dictates where you can live, what car you can drive, even what medical care you can access. Why? Because when you go to buy something or open a new charge account, the purveyors look up your credit score. They use it to judge what you can pay for. In essence, your credit score determines what you deserve. In the same way, a data aggregator's consumer value score gets you similar access or denial. But at least right now, there's a critical ethics issue with your value score that makes it more problematic than your credit score. We'll get to that. Just a note here about your consumer behavior and purchasing data. Beyond assigning individuals a consumer value score, data aggregators can categorize and sell consumers in other ways, perhaps as part of a segment. For example, when all your data is reviewed and analyzed, you might be sold as a vegan frequent flyer with an independent voting record who donates to children's charities. What's the long-tail conclusions on this? Well, we have some behavioral research that leads us to believe that vegans generally do an excellent job of keeping reservations and following rules. You also have a code of behavior you've set for yourself, which we infer from your independent voting record. Thus, your hotel reservation might be tagged to hold for you, even after you fail to show up on time. Why? Because we predict we can count on you to show up. By contrast, a meat-eating Democrat who gives to animal rights organizations might find his hotel room no longer available upon his late arrival. Perhaps there's a politically independent vegan in it? As you may already see, ethical problems arise from this data aggregation and decision-making. That's our work today. We're going to consider the ethics of CRM, particularly how the private collection, purchase, and use of data records is affecting the lives of people. Some of the effects are good. For example, correctly profiled consumers will receive better targeted, more appropriate ads and offers, and that should make their lives better. For example, I'm interested in large dog products like beds and services because this year I adopted 200 pounds of Labrador retrievers. Well, they started out as small puppies, but now there's no room for my husband and me in our bed. So I want offers for heavy-duty bedding, heartworm products, and agility programs that are meant for big working dogs. Many consumers welcome relevant offers. Some of the harm that's coming to consumers is unintentional. Accidentally, a consumer may be labeled an undesirable because misinformation is fed into the consumer's record or faulty analysis leads to an inaccurate prognostication of the consumer's future behavior. For example, imagine a consumer who pays mostly in cash, disables cookies on her computer, trades a stock account under a trust rather than her own name and social security number. That person has not established a very transparent record that captures her true consumer value. The result? Credit card companies might offer her higher interest rates than other people of her means, or retailers might send offers of lower quality goods and services. Even if data is correctly characterizing a consumer, it might be unethical or at least what some of us might consider unfair. Imagine a consumer who is by nature a slow decision maker, doesn't do a lot of shopping, and who's careful with his money because he had a limited income for a long stretch of time. The resulting profile may segregate this consumer from mainstream or upper-end opportunities, even job opportunities or invitations to industry conferences where he could network. How does that sit with your values? Do you believe that equal opportunity and equal access is the basis of a strong society? If so, we've got a significant ethical and social dilemma coming on strong. Whatever the consequences for individuals, society, and business, several data aggregators are earning fantastic revenue and profits. They represent that they have accurately indexed quality consumers, their sources, purchase history from many retailers and e-tailers, individuals' social network posts, and their likes, their browsing history, coupon usages, and civil records, among other sources. Players in the data aggregation space include Acxiom, eSource, BlueKai, Accelerate, Bezo, Audience Science, Rapleaf, Intellius, People, Reputation.com, and the credit reporting agencies Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. In her report on Acxiom, New York Times reporter Natasha Singer discovered Acxiom has collected approximately 1,500 bits of data on each of more than 500 million people around the world, and the company is growing, with about 25,000 servers to manage data about the people of Earth. This Little Rock, Arkansas company posted profits of $77 million on sales of over $1 billion in 2012. Who's buying Acxiom's data? Actually, your data and mine, via Acxiom's record keeping. Per reporter Singer, big banks like Wells Fargo and HSBC, investment services like E-Trade, automakers like Toyota and Ford, and department stores like Macy's, just about any major company looking for insight into its customers. Acxiom announced a partnership with Facebook in 2012. Acxiom reports, our clients are now able to reach members of Facebook's very large and engaged audience with advertising targeted with the help of Acxiom data. The partnership enables Acxiom's clients to reach with confidence their customers and prospects across both mobile and desktop devices with frequency and consistency. Our partnership with Facebook represents a big step forward toward achieving our objective to provide one-to-one marketing at scale. In 2012 for the New York Times, reporter Natasha Singer profiled the eBureau. It's the eBureau that's created the CRM equivalent of a credit score. eBureau calculates your eScore. That is, each person has been measured by a private algorithm which melds that consumer's prior purchasing history on items as diverse as luxury goods and pet food, along with numerical values assigned to their occupation, home value, and value as potential consumers. Then, these consumers' data and attendance scores are sold to banks, retailers, and healthcare providers, among others, to help them solicit customers for various offerings. The big difference between your credit score and your eScore? You don't have access to the information that's been used to correctly or incorrectly put a value on you. You can't access your data at eBureau, much less correct it. What's the ethical problem that becomes a societal problem? Reporter Singer writes, the scores could create a new subprime class, people who are bypassed by companies online without even knowing it. Financial institutions in particular might avoid people with low e-scores, reducing those people's access to home loans, credit cards, and insurance. Is it ethical? Should your manufactured e-score or any set of selected data represent you as a prospect to companies that want to buy what they consider qualified leads? Does it matter if the information is correct, given that everyone is being measured more or less the same way, even if that method is flawed? Does it matter if you don't want that data shared? Julie Brill, a member of the Federal Trade Commission, says she would like data brokers in general to tell the public about the data they collect, how they collect it, whom they share it with, and how it's used. If someone is listed as diabetic or pregnant, what is happening with this information? Where is this information going, she asks. As a society, we need to figure out what the rules should be. Are there ethical considerations about your health records or employment data that should govern their collection and dissemination? Is that data fair game if you've revealed it on a social networking site? Is the ethical issue different if your health and employment status has been inferred from your purchasing history? For example, if you're purchasing diapers, can data firms assume you're having a baby? Is that fair game? Unlike consumer credit reporting agencies, which are required by the Federal Fair Credit Reporting Act to show consumers free copies of their credit reports every 12 months and let them correct errors, information resellers like Acxiom are not required to share marketing data with consumers or allow corrections. In an attempt to stave off legislation and appear to be more consumer-friendly, Acxiom is giving consumers a peek behind its curtain. Acxiom has launched a beta site that allows you to see some of the data about you and potentially make some corrections. The site is aboutthedata.com. You can go and register and even opt out of Acxiom filtering your data. But odds are you won't for many reasons. Registering won't stop offers from coming. They'll just be less targeted. What's most interesting is that aboutthedata.com could become a revenue stream in and of itself. Finally, does your colluding in the collection and perfection of information about yourself solve the ethical problems, or just potentially correct some errors? And what about the greater questions of privacy and sovereignty? Will it ever be possible for you to control what's now out there about you? Will consumers become authorization managers? Or is that a fiction, albeit a selling point for Reputation.com's venture funding? What are we becoming as individuals and society, as citizens and as marketers, CRM managers and business people? We are in the midst of spying, collecting, inferring, selecting, and selling each other. Does this work to good ends if our intentions are good? Are we willing to trust that they are? How are you going to manage the ethics along with the end goals of our profession?